Welcome to the Point. This past week, Governor Gretchen Whitmer delivered her 7th State of the State address, and with that address, laid out the priorities for the rest of her term. Before a joint session of the House and Senate, the governor talked about a number of initiatives that she would like to pursue, including one that has been a constant theme since she first announced she would run for office: fixing the roads. Here are some highlights from that speech.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Michigan. I'm honored to be here tonight for my State of the State address. 7 down, 1 to go. I took an oath of office to serve the people of Michigan, and that means all the people of Michigan. That's my commitment to you, no matter who is in the White House or who is on the other side of the aisle in Lansing. Yes, I do hope to find common ground with President Trump and work with the Democratic-led Senate and Republican-led House on our shared priorities. Now, I'm not looking for fights, but I won't back down from them either. In Michigan, we have an opportunity and an obligation to lead by example. Our state represents America in every way: economically, geographically, politically, and socially. People from every walk of life call Michigan home. We don't always agree, but we move forward together. That is the source of our strength. Let's show the rest of the country how to get things done. Right now, I know that politics, especially national politics, can be exhausting. I feel it too. At a high level, we're facing 2 big challenges: economic uncertainty and political division. First, economics. It's hard to buy a house or car because of high interest rates. It's still hard to pay the bills. Just this month, inflation jumped back up to 3%. Businesses are facing uncertainty too. Industry leaders and top economic minds on both sides of the aisle are warning us about the havoc that 25% tariffs would wreak on Michigan's auto industry, while also raising expenses, everyday expenses for our families. And as for politics, there's no sugarcoating it. We seem very divided today. Partisanship has infected every aspect of our lives, driven by opportunistic politicians and media figures who live by a philosophy: I win if you lose. Their divisive rhetoric is amplified by algorithms designed to make us angry and keep us scrolling. We're all being manipulated by the largest and most powerful companies in the world, who profit more when we start to believe that we have nothing in common. But that's just not true. As governor, I've been to all 83 counties at least twice and sat down with all kinds of people. When you show up and listen, it's clear that most of us want the same things, and we're all frustrated by the same things too. Our people are not as divided as our politics. I really believe that. My fellow Michiganders, the state of our state is strong, and it's on all of us to make it stronger and kinder too. So a few weeks ago, I released my 7th budget after encouraging news that state revenues were $1 billion higher than expected. Michigan is on the move because Michiganders are hard at work. Let's show them that we are too, with a balanced, bipartisan budget by the end of June that's focused on the fundamentals. As a legislator, I served in the minority for 14 years. That means this is my 21st State of the State, my God. I often partnered with my Republican colleagues, including on Healthy Michigan, our Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act that covers hundreds of thousands of people. As governor, I've signed 6 balanced bipartisan budgets and nearly 1,500 bipartisan bills, 1,000 of those under a Republican-controlled legislature. My North Star has always been collaboration. That's what governing means. You work with anyone to get things done. So what should we focus on this year? Let's keep it simple. 1, costs. Let's make life more affordable for Michiganders. 2, jobs. Let's create more opportunities to help people in our state earn more money. And 3, results. Let's make government work better for the people we all serve. Let's start with housing. It's a tough market right now. Mortgage rates are above 6%. Home prices have shot up 50% in the last 4 years. The median age of a home buyer hit 56 years old. That's an all-time high. And just a quarter of homes went to first-time buyers. That's an all-time low. So while the state already has programs in place to help you become the first person in your family to buy a house, or pay up to $10,000 of your down payment, or lower your mortgage rate by 1%, and save thousands on your federal taxes, we must also address the core issue of supply. Right now, we are short 140,000 homes statewide, and the way forward is clear. We gotta build, baby, build. When our kids get a great start, they get a good foundation to build a good life. It's why we feed all 1.4 million public school students free breakfast and lunch, saving families nearly $900 a year per kid on groceries and valuable time in the morning. It's why we delivered free pre-K for all, so every 4-year-old can arrive at kindergarten better prepared to learn while saving their parents $10,000. It's why we expanded 3,600 child care centers to serve 37,000 more kids. But we still have work to do. All right, I think I'm even going to get the speaker on his feet on this one. Next, I want to talk about fiscal responsibility. Most Michiganders are watching their expenses more closely. State government should do the same. Every February, after I propose the budget, the legislature adds earmarks. Now, these can be important. Fire stations, roads, schools. Some of them, not so much. The problem is that these earmarks are added without transparency and have been for years, under both Republican and Democratic control. I know Speaker Hall is passionate about bringing accountability to the process, and I agree. In this year's budget, let's have total transparency on all earmarks. Because if you want to invest taxpayer money, you should put your name on it, right, Matt? All right. I mean, if they can do it in D.C., we sure as hell can too, right? Now let's talk about jobs, starting with making it as easy as possible for Michiganders to get the skills or education they need to earn more money. Over the last few years, it's exactly what we've been focused on and what we've done. We boosted career and tech education, giving students hands-on experience with wood, metal, power tools, and computers in high school so they can land a good job after graduation. In this year's budget, let's work together to make the largest investment in career and technical education ever. In 2021, we launched the Michigan Reconnect, a bipartisan program offering anyone 25 and older a tuition-free associate's degree or skills certificate at their local community college. Today, more than 200,000 Michiganders have taken that first step. In 2022, we created the bipartisan Michigan Achievement Scholarship, lowering the cost of a bachelor's degree by up to $27,500. Today, more than 56,000 students are already saving thousands of dollars. I want to thank Representative Samantha Stecklaw for her work on this. And just last year, we delivered the Community College Guarantee, giving every high school grad the opportunity to earn an associate's degree or skills certificate tuition-free. And today, more than 240,000 Michiganders attend one of our 31 community and tribal colleges. But just like with housing, there's a gender gap here in education too. Women outnumber men at our community colleges, universities, and most of all, in the Michigan Reconnect, where enrollment is 2-to-1 women to men. So we've built these great programs open to everyone, but we need to do a better job of getting more young men signed up. And that's why soon I'm signing an executive directive that will make an effort to reach more young men and boost their enrollment in higher education and skills training programs. For the Michiganders working hard to put themselves through these programs, it is life-changing. Truly. Evan from Bay City is a young dad, and after stepping away from college to work full-time in restaurants and retail, he enrolled at Delta College with Reconnect and hopes to find a career in public service. He wants to serve his community and make his son proud. Anthony from East Lansing is a husband and dad who was an EMT throughout the pandemic. He used the Reconnect to earn an aviation mechanics license and now works here at the Lansing Airport. My message tonight goes out to all young people, but especially our young men. I know it's hard to get ahead right now, but I promise you, no matter how hard life might get, there's always a way out and a way up. The last thing any of us wants is a generation of young men falling behind their fathers and grandfathers. I've heard most about this issue from moms who love their sons and are worried about them. And to the women out there who are succeeding after decades of having the deck stacked against you, I see your resilience, and I will never abandon my commitment to equal opportunity and dignity for everyone. Now, let's talk about another driver of jobs and growth, those damn roads. We need safe roads to go to work, drop our kids off at school, and run errands. Businesses need a solid transportation network to ship products and ensure their employees can get to work safely. In 2020, I created Rebuilding Michigan, a $3.5 billion bond plan to fix most of our heavily trafficked state highways and bridges. Why? Well, because for years, a lot of governors and legislators tried and failed to get it done. We've made progress on our state roads, but let's be real. My plan was always a short-term fix. There is a lot left to do. And with Rebuilding Michigan soon phasing out, we're facing a serious funding cliff. I'm hearing from construction companies who are expecting layoffs because of the uncertainty. We need a sustainable, long-term solution for our local roads. Every pothole is a reminder that we must act now. I mean, just take Michigan Avenue. You drive it from the Capitol to MSU. You'll see what I'm saying. It's like the surface of the moon. Why? Because the city of Lansing, doing the best they can, but they only get about $17 million from the state for local roads. They need about 17 times that much, around $300 million. Michiganders in every part of our state are passionate about their roads. Phyllis from Rapid City was evocative in her description of Crystal Beach Road. It'll rattle your brains out, she said. There's a road like that in every town. We know that bad roads cost drivers more than $750 a year. Now, I know there are a couple different plans out there, including mine, and I know none of them are perfect. But what's not okay is no plan. Michiganders won't accept inaction. To get it right, we all have to recognize some hard truths. To my friends in the GOP, a long-term fix means new, fair sources of revenue. We can't cut our way to better roads by slashing public safety, health, or schools. To my fellow Democrats, cuts will need to be a part of the solution. All right, some claps over here. I mean, to the business community, we can't put this on the backs of the middle class. For all of us, For all of us to be a part of the solution, we must all compromise, and that's the way it ought to be. Let's get back to the negotiating table in the coming days and weeks and find a long-term bipartisan solution so we can fix more of those damn roads.
Immediately following her speech, my colleague Adriana Doria talked to a number of politicians and got their reaction, and not surprisingly, that reaction depended largely on the party in which one serves.
I think there was some positive in there, right? I appreciated what the governor had to say about permitting reform and licensure reform and making it easier to do business in Michigan. For me, I think, we need to focus on the fundamentals and focus on our existing businesses rather than what the governor has done through her first 6 years, which is writing checks to big corporations. What I've said in my roads plan, she mentioned there are 2 roads plans out there. There's Governor Whitmer's roads plan to raise taxes. And then there's my roads plan, which shows how we can get it done without raising taxes if we prioritize roads over corporations. And under Governor Whitmer, you see hundreds of millions of dollars every year going to select corporations that don't create the jobs the way they're supposed to, and they extend their timeline. So I'm saying let's put that money into roads instead.
General reaction tonight?
Yeah, I was very pleased to see the bipartisan emphasis that the governor struck tonight. I think it's incredibly important at a time like this where we see such antagonism in our politics at the national level, and that's infected at the state level too. So it's been a personal frustration of mine that people seem more concerned about having problems that they can bludgeon the other party over the head with at the expense of solutions. So that does no good for our constituents. And frankly, I've been in the job for 13 years. I'd like to see a greater willingness to genuinely sit down and solve our problems.
Yeah, are you confident you guys are going to be able to do that? Does last week kind of make you a little more...
Yeah.
Promising, right?
Yeah, certainly in the last couple of weeks we tackled some very difficult issues and we did it effectively. I think that's a great foundation to lay at the beginning of this term. And I'm optimistic that that shows that we can actually do tough things. I'll note that we had a firm deadline, and the legislature does much better work or gets things done with the deadline in ways that make other issues without deadlines more difficult. So still hopeful. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about roads and also bipartisanship with that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of divide on that. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of divide, and I think in the past we've really struggled to get a good solution to road funding done, in part because people didn't want to take responsibility for making sure that we had the resources to do what needs to be done in terms of investing in infrastructure. I think the governor is spot on when she talks about the fact that we are going to need to find ways to raise revenue as well as tighten our belts. And I think it's incredibly important for us to find a solution. And for me, that sustainable long-term solution is going to require bipartisanship, and not just ideas, but votes. And it's going to require that we don't short those essential services that the sales tax at the pump, for instance, pay for, like education and other core government services that our constituents should be able to depend on and that we are obligated to provide.
At the end of the day, I think it was a long on public relation tested points, short on actual policy issues. My hope is that if the governor's serious about permitting reform and licensing reform, I think it's positive. However, once again, no roads plan. Let's fix the damn roads. Once again, increased spending without an understanding of actually having long-term balanced budgets. And let's get to work and actually fix our roads, fix our education systems. And after the last few years of falling behind in education, 3 out of 4 of our fourth graders can't read at grade level. And that has a lot to do with the COVID lockdowns, not providing reading scholarships for our young students that she vetoed. That I think it's about time that we get to work and actually improve our education, our infrastructure, and our population in the state.
A big topic tonight, bipartisanship. Are you confident you guys are going to be able to get things done, work across the aisle, and for things like roads?
Yeah, it's about finding a consensus at the end of the day. You have a Republican House, a Democrat Senate, Democrat governor, And as I look at it, that you got to be serious to get to work and finish that work. The education system that we have is abysmal. We need to actually concentrate on that. Our roads, there's a huge funding cliff. You look at our local roads, they're in horrible condition. Republicans have issued a plan to actually put $3 billion into roads. That means diverting corporate welfare money, making sure 100% of tax dollars that are collected at the pump actually go to roads. And it's about working together to find the solutions. And I think so far the governor's been my way or the highway.
Big topic tonight, obviously roads. How do you do that bipartisanly? There's been a lot of debate on how do we get this done.
Yeah. We've heard fix the damn roads for far too long. Let's put rubber to that road and find some real solutions. And what I think we heard tonight was a call that it cannot be one way or the other, or my way or the highway, if you will. What we really need to find is an opportunity to find the right recipe for sustainable, long-lasting road funding. I'm committed to that. House Democrats are committed to that. And I think the governor is setting the tone that we're going to find that middle ground.
General reaction tonight.
I think we have some shared goals. Things like we want to fix roads. How do we get there is the other story. She talks in one moment about making things more affordable, and in her next plan, taxing business. If you tax or raise the corporate income tax in Michigan, over 27,000 businesses are labeled as small business in revenue, yet they're corporations, how they form. You can't raise taxes on them without raising prices on the consumer. They're going to pass that through for their goods and services. That's a proven fact. So you can't talk about making things more affordable and then do just the opposite and raise taxes.
How do you think it went?
I thought it went really well. I think the governor, she's always been a very common sense, practical, leader who really has Michiganders at the heart of her work. And so I think the things that she laid out for us, not only reflecting on the work that we've done, getting money back in the pockets of middle-class folks with the EITC tax expansion, and some of the other programming that we've done in the last couple of years, really building on that with more opportunity in housing. I'm really excited about the career pathways piece.
I felt it was an audition for the presidency. And if Governor Whitmer was truly interested in bipartisanship, she would have been working bipartisan across the aisle for her last term and a half.
General reaction tonight.
Look, I think the governor presented a great state of the state, a balanced state of the state to show that we are more alike than our politics suggest. That, the parable of the story of the neighbors who have different politics but look out for each other, we all have that story. And I think it shows the kind of can-do bipartisan spirit that she brings to the table, that I'm ready to bring to the table, and I think my colleagues are too.
With this week's State of the State address, Governor Whitmer has laid out her plans for the rest of her term. The question is now, can she get Republicans in the House and Democrats in the Senate to go along? And it's something we'll be watching as the weeks roll by. Finally today, a note of thanks to those of you who have reached out during my absence. I'd like to say I'm happy to be back, and I thank you for being in touch, and also thank my colleague Brian Sterling for filling in my absence. We'll see you next week. To the point.